Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and welcome to Vessel of Hatred's newest update. This update of patch 0.0.3 has reintroduced a bunch of stuff, like for example this new mythic unique, the Shroud of False Death. And it has some seriously impressive details, like say the +1 to all passives, which is going to be major, or the fact that it's going to apply a stealth, and then when you come out of that stealth, the next attack will be dealing significantly more damage. So it's quite the strong mythic unique. In fact, we believe it's going to be one of the strongest, like a meta chest for most every build that can afford to lose a chest slot. That's quite the ask for some, so it may just not be possible. I do think it's going to be something we're looking at and hoping to run. So let's go through the details pretty quick. But now, hours later after I recorded that introduction clip, they've finally actually released these items into the patch. So I can finally actually craft it, allegedly. To craft any mythic unique, if you don't know, you need to go to a jeweler now. So under rune crafting, mythic uniques, and there it is. Shroud of False Death. If you're interested in what it actually takes to craft this, obviously you need the 2 sparks, but it's 6 back runes, 6 cry runes, and 6 money runes. Oh, and you can see that I've got 3 sparks. That's because I finally got my Lilith spark. So if you killed Lilith and didn't get a spark, that was a bug and error. And with this patch, you should now have your spark. In any case, let's finally craft it. Yay, it actually crafted it. Fantastic. And in my case, that's an unlucky GA, of course. So let's take a look at what it does at a baseline. As you can see, it's got all stats, 160 base, 800 increased max life, an increase to the damage on your next attack after entering stealth, and resource gen. So one of the most interesting parts of this is obviously the damage on next attack after entering stealth. That is because of its unique effect. If you haven't dealt damage in the last 2 seconds, you'll gain stealth, as well as 40% flat movement speed, which is pretty nice. So we intentionally enter stealth and then enjoy this big boost to the next attack. Logically, this would snapshot. So let me explain what I mean. As you can see, it's put me into stealth, which is a pretty cool visual effect. And you can track it here by this icon that refreshes every 2 seconds. We can see when I pull up my screen here, we have 37k attack power. So as I interrupt that, you see that it drops because the next attack was spent. As you can see, I am not attacking and not dealing damage, and yet I'm still not activating the new stealth. Obviously, I'm not doing anything to the training dummy, but Subbo is. And so this seems to interact with the chess piece, which is unfortunate in a word. So mercenaries can and will screw you on this, as it turns out. But if we pull him away from the target, you can see that we stop attacking and I can get that effect. But let's talk about snapshotting. This is Rogue and a Dance of Knives build. So how this works is that it snapshots all of the buffs that you have at the moment you press it. So as I increase my damage by pressing Dark Shroud, as I imbue, as I conceal, maybe even drop a shadow clone, when I press this next spin, it snapshots the effect. So every spin that I do from now on is shadow imbued. I've got the benefits of all of those different buffs. So every attack that I'm doing is generating vulnerable, and it's also a guaranteed crit. That's because all of the effects from earlier have snapshotted straight into the skill. So logically, anything that works with a snapshot normally is something that says next attack. So modifiers under concealment. The skill that breaks concealment, guaranteed critical hit, and makes vulnerable enemies. So by all logic, damage on next attack should be a functional snapshot, whether you're playing Dance of Knives Rogue or anything that's going to benefit from that kind of snapshot effect. So we return now without any mercenaries interrupting us or causing any bonus effects. As you can see, my attack power right now is about 50k. So let's interrupt that with Dance of Knives to get rid of the stealth. You see it drops down to 20k, up to 40k. Let's interrupt this stealth with Dance of Knives and see how the attack power drops. And as you can see, it's not maintaining, it's not going back up, I'm not going back into stealth. It would appear then that Dance of Knives, despite it being a snapshot ability, is not benefiting from that break in stealth at all after the initial use of it. So while this should be an insane ability for channeled skills like Dance of Knives, it doesn't seem to work that way, which is a real disappointment because it would be absolutely incredible if it did. However, let's say you're just a normal player, you're doing whatever build, making your next attack deal significantly more damage is certainly not a bad thing. It's still a very valuable thing to have. But what's even more impressive and relevant about the skill, at least for me and why I definitely want to run it, is the inherent. As you can see, it comes with +1 to all passives. So a lot of us are running really important passives on our amulet. In my case, I have Frigid Finesse and I have Weapon Mastery. So even though I have 3 ranks on my amulet from that, we're at 7 out of 3 instead of 6 because we've got 1 extra level on our skill passives from the chess piece. But what you might notice is that this applies to every passive. So I've got an extra level of impetus here. I've got an extra level of haste. I've got an extra level of everything. And that's what's truly so potent about this chess piece. Some of us have insane passives that we want to stack up as much as we physically can. This giving us a way to get even an extra level is a big deal. For me, I want extra levels of unstable elixirs as well as those two, and especially weapon mastery most of all. So to get even one level on all of those is really nice, but then there's lots of utility, like increased damage reduction from damage over time, straight up close damage reduction, or even lifesteal effects. There's so many passives that I have that are just useful that I can't afford to put more points in, or I'm not going to spend amulet slots to do. So this is a major DPS and utility and survivability increase. There's so many ways this increases my damage. So don't sleep on this. The +1 to all passives is one of the strongest things we have on one single item in the game right now. It is very competitive then as a mythic unique. And I think a lot of people are going to be running this in their meta setups. Anyway, here's just some gameplay of me using it normally. Just farming some pit 70s. I think this is incredibly effective, but it is really unfortunate that the mercenaries seem to trigger us attacking too. I would love to see some kind of hotfix or change to prevent that, to make it so I stealth when I don't attack for 2 seconds, and if my minions or allies or whatever it is are attacking, it doesn't matter. I should get that stealth. Now obviously, personally, as a Dance of Knives rogue, I would love if it also worked with snapshotting properly, because that would be incredible for my DPS. And I don't know about you, but I think rogues would be fine to get a damage buff when we look at the state of Spiritborn. But that would apply to everyone, so yeah. It's funny though, even if it did work in the way that I would hope or want for channeled snapshotting, it's still the case that I have things like my Kanjar unique, which requires me to set up before the fight. I need to do some basic attacks or basically build up some attack speed and then get going. This then consumes my stealth. So if I stop attacking and wait the 2 seconds to stealth again, I lose my Kanjar buff. So it just feels so counterintuitive or functional, considering the way that mercenaries interrupt your stealth or consider you attacking as they are attacking. I would love maybe a mechanical change beyond waiting 2 seconds to gain the stealth, whatever they want to do to give us a way to proc stealth intentionally. It's a weird one. It's so effective because of the all stats and the affixes and the potential of that stealth break bonus damage. So I can see why they're kind of wary with this one, because it's a very high potential unique, that's for sure. So I think if you can afford to lose a chest slot, maybe using a normal one or whatever, it is going to be an extremely effective utility, survival, and of course DPS tool, based again purely on the +1 to all passives. But just be warned that that whole stealth and damage after entering stealth is very clunky and unreliable, especially since we're all using mercenaries. Still, it should lead to some incredibly bursty stuff, especially say for boss farming, which we're still all pretty much doing. Does make you wonder though, what was so wrong with this chest that they had to wait to put it in? Something must have been really bugged with it. It does feel like they've been overly careful on the stealth effect and how it works. But yeah, I hope this overview of the new unique Shroud of False Death was useful to you, so you can decide whether you want to go out of your way to farm it or craft it or whatever. For now then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching, see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.